All right, guys, we're live. Cruz is eating right now. I'm back in New Bedford, and there's a lot of things to catch up on. Didn't really get a chance to catch up to Cruz, but he was traveling yesterday on Monday, so now everyone's back. We're all back in New England. He got back yesterday. I got back Sunday, so I'm still trying to catch up to sleep and whatever else. But I'm pretty much returned to my normally scheduled programming of routines and whatnot. But now I just
Yeah, you know how it is. Everybody, that first day of travel back when you're coming back from wherever, just off a little bit. You know, the weekend, we went out, we did a lot of stuff the weekend, and then you fly overnight Monday. You know, basically, I get back here, finally get in around midnight, a little after, trip to the airport and everything. You're talking 7, 8 hours of the day traveling, weighing, layover, and stuff. You've been gone for a while, right? So you threw all your food out and you have none. So you only have like oatmeal to eat, which is fine. It's healthy. Don't mind me just snacking and finishing up that. That's going to be my dinner, a little protein shake later, because that's all I got.
yeah. I haven't even got to grocery shopping yet. A lot of it's been kind of squaring away. A lot of had a meeting. Yes, I had actually two meetings yesterday. So trying to catch up to like I said, the normal routine, which is a little bit different for me out here because there's nobody cooking, for me
Oh,
during the
yeah.
day. It's a little bit different. So, but once I get back to to the to the normal setup, I'll be back to it. A few more days, nothing too crazy. But that's basically that's basically what we're at. It was a good trip. I think it's good to just have a recap of some of the things that we've done. What was going on, kind of leading up to the day that we arrived. Um,
Yeah.
what's the situation like out in Austin and obviously in Ecuador, and what does the flights look like on the way back? Because I think that's good to kind of point those things out. Obviously, the news has been talking about of you know it's I'm not going to go into it. It's pretty ridiculous.
I Which one? I've missed, honestly, just give me a quick one of what about traveling or something? Because I've missed a lot, honestly. The
The, the,
past the past like 10, 11 days for me or so, while I was still working out there, it was absolutely, I had spent winter here, not being able to do a lot. It was the trip down to Austin was an absolute just kind of blow off steam, get out, enjoy myself, not caring about a lot of the extra things or anything else going on, or even necessarily keeping the best routine outside of just kind of the work. Like we've talked about before, I was just being really regimented while it was really,
yeah,
that winter time closed up, training real hard, eating exactly this, and this, just work. This was an absolute just blow off steam kind of vacation. More than, that long term stay adventure vacation, which we're hoping to get into and everything. I
hmm
think both absolutely have their place because there's different areas like Austin, like we talked about. You were kind of giving it a little look for, do you want to live there or not live there? It kind of went on this like up and down where when we first got there, we had a lot of fun, but like we'd said, you know what, this may not be the place. But actually, the second week, it actually grew on me again. We found some out of the way places, found a lot of great little spots to actually work at. Just really found the places that haven't gotten the skyscrapers to start going up, and really get commercialized. Some places that reminded me of what Austin used to be like before it started changing over the past 20 years.
yeah.
And that actually made me fall in love with the place a little bit more. Not enough that I would ever say it would be a place that I really wanted to actually move to anymore. But there's still some out of the way places that have a lot of character, a lot of vibe. And like I already said before, if you're looking to just go down for a weekend or a long weekend, couldn't recommend it enough. It's going to have whatever you wanted to do and more than enough of it for a few days. And probably by the end of it, you're going to be exhausted. Austin loves to enjoy their night times. It rolls from Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And then it seems like everybody takes a break on Monday and resets for a little while. It's a great place.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like just culturally, it's kind of it's geared towards, kind of it's because it's a newer city, it's a developing city. It's going to attract, people that are going to look for a lot of activities that involve, the city life and things that happen within the city and things like that. So I think I've never been there particularly, so you know whatever information that you're giving me is something that will give me some more insights. So, like when I do decide that I can go there or whatever it is, I'll go over there. Um, so it's important to see those types of things, because it's my understanding. There's actually a lot of tech companies that are moving in that area. So even um, you know,
Ton
e-
of them.
yeah, like a lot of recent graduates are going to be going to this type of place because
Apple's building a campus. Tesla's there. Google has huge headquarters. I mean, you just say those three alone. I
yeah,
mean, you're talking about 20% of the S&P 500, between those
yeah,
between those couple companies. So it's definitely booming. Definitely everybody, the kind of vibe and feel of the place, everybody's kind of in lockstep about, really going out, enjoying your weekends, working through the week, and enjoying your weekends. It's not an uncommon thing. It's actually kind of like the culture of the city almost, because you'll go out the next day, be having brunch somewhere, and you kind of just eavesdrop and listen to people,
hmm
and you're listening to conversations about different tables and different people having everything from couples to maybe a little bit of an older crowd. Almost all of them went out and had a good time last night. That just tended to be, the trend for the place.
yeah. And again, I think that's it's one of those things where um, it sounds like just a high energy. It's like, oh, okay, there's a full week. There's obviously um, a lot of smart people that are out there that are working, but they still want their Thursday, their weekend highlight reel, which is totally a great thing, especially. But the part that's interesting too is like I wonder what things were like during the pandemic. That it must have been like a soul crushing thing when people couldn't go out and do what they wanted to do.
It is the pandemic. If they were shut down, which they still stayed open a bit more, but there a lot of places were really, still strongly social distance, but they stayed open a fair bit more.
Yeah.
That is the complete antagonist opposite of what they are and what they do around there.
Yeah.
Complete culture change. Complete culture change. And you do meet a lot of people that are down there and visiting for the weekends or for a little bit longer, that tend to be around and out and about. But there's also a lot of people that are from the area, or
Yeah.
living there, going to school there, just moved there, came a couple of years ago because of work, a variety of reasons. But they do get a lot of tourists to come in.
Yeah. So did you ended up staying at the Marriott Hotel the whole time, or did
We
you go somewhere else?
absolutely, yeah. So actually, I have some great insights, I guess, on that. If you're going to be staying, if it was just a weekend, absolutely, you can find a phenomenal hotel for a really good price. You're not going to be needing a lot of the extra things that be looking for a long-term stay. Anything longer than a week, or you start getting into those, 12, 14 days or so,
Yeah.
even though the Airbnb prices, and the issue with picking places with the Airbnbs too, is that I didn't know some of the outer areas
hmm
and how they actually were, how far it is to downtown, what other things they had to offer in those other areas. There's some outer areas that seem like they're a little farther out of the downtown area
hmm
that really aren't, that really are still really nice and comfortable to stay, have enough little things around them.
hmm
Particularly, I would say like South Congress or South Austin. That street down there it's a phenomenal street on South Congress there. Still has a lot to offer right on there on a daily without having to go into downtown, which downtown is not far. We're only talking a couple miles.
Yeah.
But you always wonder, what do these actual suburb areas look like without having seen them?
hmm
How kind of, we'll say, safe, or what is there to do? you'd be absolutely fine. And you'd be able to find a little bit better price there as opposed to than directly downtown, where you end up making some of that money back, we'll say. And I didn't quite realize it, or I wasn't, smart enough to put it together. Where you start making a lot of that money back is on the day-to-day stuff. A hotel room, after a little bit, starts to feel really cramped. So you start getting that really cramped feeling when you're staying in this for a long time, at least for me personally. That now it's like, I can't stay in here anymore. I need to go out and find an activity to do. Whether it's just going to the cafe to get coffee there, going out to find a bite to eat, or just going out and finding a place, a bar or something to have a couple drinks just to get outside of the hotel room, as opposed to being sitting there. What the Airbnb is always going to offer is it's going to give you that living room where you can kind of just sit. For me, there's a lot of difference between, me and my buddy laying on the bed, just watching Netflix there. I know it's kind of the same, but it doesn't feel like the same. You're still kind of feeling in that small, cramped space. Whereas if you're both hanging out, chilling in the living room on the couch, relaxing, it just has a more downtime vibe to it.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's kind of a change of setting. So a place doesn't necessarily have to be particularly large, but a hotel it's a hotel. It's there's going to
It's one
be,
room.
yeah, it's one room, where everything is not divided in the way that will make it feel like you can take a break from one place to the other. It's kind of like we don't poop and sleep in the same room, so having the living room kind of setting in the same spot kind of that never feels any different. So like
No.
your mind can't switch um, in its head that or distinguish the difference between like, oh, okay, here's relaxation time and here's bedtime. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like there's
No, it does. For me, like just being in that living room area, that's kind of like would be my like decompress area during a long-term travel, long-term stay. Whereas like the bedroom is for when I go to bed. Now just laying in that bed, watching Netflix when you're trying to decompress, it's just like, well, now you're just like laid in bed all day. As opposed to if like I know I'm technically just sitting on the couch and I could be laying on the couch. It's not just like you were just in bed for all of these hours. It's just something about it that's just different. So the amount of potential like money and extra effort and everything that you have from having that extra space, you actually couldn't quantify it, because now you can actually during the week take time on your Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, where like, what do you want to do? Nothing. Let's just order whatever. We'll order a little delivery, or maybe we picked up a few groceries for the kitchen. Going to cook a little food, and we're just going to throw something on the TV, whether it is, YouTube TV, Netflix, hook up to something and just relax there. And you're not out looking for other things, looking for other entertainment to kind of wind down, which inherently leads you to having to spend more money. So that price difference between the hotel and Airbnb, you get it back with that other, at least for me personally, and especially if you're staying longer than a weekend. Just a weekend, 4 days, wouldn't have changed it. The amount of time that we were there, which got into about 13 days, looking back, I definitely would have done the Airbnb. We had to go out and try and chase a place to get laundry done. We still only brought the one backpack. With some working out, changing clothes, it's hot, the pool. It's a little difficult to carry enough clothes for that many days in one backpack. It's actually almost impossible. You reuse some stuff, and towards the end we're like, yeah, we need to find a laundromat. Laundry services there weren't phenomenal. We had to actually go a little ways out to find an actual just coin operated laundromat, which not gonna lie, I forget I think it was just called Washaria. It was in like the northwest section. This might have been the best laundromat I've ever been to. The people that were running it were so friendly, helped us out with stuff. Place was super clean. They had free Wi-Fi there. It was just actually a great little laundromat. We popped there, opened up the laptops, did some work while we did the laundry and everything. It was good. But yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. When you're balancing, figuring out stuff about travel, Shorter time, still viable. Even that extra cost of the Airbnb, it would have to be extremely, extremely significantly higher for the Airbnb to even consider it again. I'm going to say even on the maybe even double the price, I'm probably still going Airbnb.
Interesting.
Probably still going Airbnb. You're staying for a month and you get a monthly discount rate and it's dropping down. It's not even a question.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's something that we talked about before, right? And I had a meeting uh, last week. No, it was last. Yeah, it was last week. And one of the questions that someone asked me was like, "Oh, well, how do I stay productive?" And it's along those same lines where you want an environment where you're going to feel like you're productive. You're going to want the environment that where you rest is where you rest. And I even explained like if I'm doing something mentally intensive, uh, during the work hours, I don't want to be doing this stuff on the couch. It's just not something that to me
No.
that just doesn't work. And I even, despite like working from home type of thing, I do change my clothes during the day because it might not, I might not be dressed to the nines. I might be in a sweatshirt and sweatpants, but the importance in my mind of putting myself in a place where I'm gonna be in a situation both mentally and physically, and that means changing into clothes, going to the desk area. That's where the work is done. Whereas I'm not bringing any of this stuff in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm not taking my laptop and be like, oh, I'm gonna do some coding on the bed. Like, hell no. It's just
No.
and you for me, it's just if I can't separate those things, and despite the fact that yeah, I do look on my phone to research things while I'm in bed and things like that. But just the sense of like, oh, I just do it on my phone helps break it away from kind of the normal setting where a lot of the very active things are happening, at least like production wise. So um, so it's very interesting that you pointed that out, and especially since you had 2 weeks in Austin, and then now like looking back, it's like, oh crap, you know what? Maybe the one of the best ways to go about it was to actually do the Airbnb. And it is.
Hindsight, absolutely. So this was a learning experience. You always learning and figuring stuff out, but you made a great point. Without having those set environments, it kind of kept me in this like limbo state almost, where you always kind of had to like chase the next spot to work, to like keep things fresh and find a good spot, chase the next location, chase the next thing without being able to get in any type of routine. And that's fine for a short time, but closing in on those 12, 13 days, it was starting to get a little taxing. It
Yeah.
was starting to get a little taxing. So remember that when you're looking at places and you think that the hotel may or may not work, I would really, at least for me personally, I would reconsider it. You need to have the kind of that set, stable environment, especially if you get anything past the week or so mark.
Now this wasn't like a vacation. Like you still had your normal 9 to 5 or whatever hours, right? When you were when
I didn't take one day off.
Yeah. So again, that's an important thing to identify. If ever anyone's going to be taking a short-term trip, they have to consider um, ways that they're going to stay productive if it's not a vacation and they want a different setting. And it's something I think a prime example of this too is the situation with the students not being able to go to class. Like they're doing their stuff from school and they're laying in their bed all day, so it's hard for them to break apart some of the mental states that they have to be in. Like, and that's for me. Like I said, for me particularly, I can't be doing mentally intensive things while I'm in bed getting ready to go to sleep. If I'm in bed all day and I'm trying to
Oh
do
my
these
God.
things, like I would go
I was
insane.
getting frustrated and worn down for 2 weeks. Imagine having been doing that for the past 9 months.
Oh, absolutely brutal. I mean, I feel it for the
Yeah,
kids out there.
I couldn't. I mean, I'm plainly, you can see me on camera. I'm a grown adult, and I had an issue compartmentalizing and making it work. I could only imagine, a 12-year-old trying to do this.
Yeah. And so we have several people on. Can you guys give us, if you guys are out there and you're listening, and you have an opportunity to kind of share your stories, or if you guys are planning a trip, or maybe you're planning a trip to join Cruz and myself and some other people out on the road, if there's some questions or some experience that you've had with some of this that you'd like to chime in and let everybody else know, because I think it's important to talk about that, especially since again, I hate to say it, but the digital nomad lifestyle, where things like living off of out of a backpack is you know is feasible, is it feasible or is it not feasible? I can tell you right now, right after getting back, and I only brought probably less, a little more than half of my clothes, and I'm already like, crap. I wish I would have brought that. Yeah, you know,
The
and it's
one backpack, yeah, it's a thing. It takes planning. It takes legitimate, real planning, some trial and error. I have a few tweaks that I'm going to be doing after doing this last trip.
mm,
Um, the new backpack works amazing. I'm technically going to be blowing the one backpack rule because I'm always going to actually carry a separate laptop case.
mm,
The one bag I have is phenomenal. It does have, and that's the Osprey Farpoint.
mhm.
It's the 40 liter. It's a great bag, great shape. The flip top load. It's not a top loader. Great bag. I was able to fit a ton in it with some reworking. When I repacked, I actually had more room. I couldn't say enough about the bag. The issue is that when you do zip it and you have that thing packed, the laptop case, and I knew about this, the laptop case is on the front. I'm not worried about it banging anything. So anybody out there that's looking, I'm not worried about it hitting anything. Still a phenomenal bag. But if you're going for indefinite travel, it means your bag is probably going to be packed pretty tight. And that laptop, you know how like when everything's packed tight, it creates kind of a bulge.
Mhm.
Now you have to slide that laptop case in there, and it's going to be putting pressure on it, kind of bending the laptop a little bit. I put it in there. It was kind of flat, but honestly, I was like putting this on my back. It was making me a little nervous. I can't lose my laptop. There's only like two things I can't lose. It's like my passport and my laptop. Both of those things need to stay with me at absolute all costs. Anything else I can figure out.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think these are important things to really consider when someone's doing kind of the digital nomad lifestyle, and then on top of like packing a lot of things, you don't realize that those types of things are incredibly important. I mean, to piggyback on that, one of the issues that I ran into, so when I flew into Florida and I was taking my next flight. So you go through customs and then you have to go into another entrance area and go through TSA all over again. But the s- the attendant, for the airlines was being very strict about bags. So she's like, "Oh, you got to put your bag in that size, that metal
Oh, they
that
actually
metal
made,
fitter."
yeah, did they? Oof.
Yeah, and I had my laptop in there, and I had so it bulged out a little bit because I had that neck pillow thing. So
Yeah.
I put it in there. She's like, and she took her hand and pushed my bag down. She's like, if you want to
Like,
take your bag, you got to make sure it fits. I'm like, oh crap. So I'm starting cranking down, and I don't want to crush it because my laptop is essentially my laptop's in there. But again, it's something that people should keep in mind when they're traveling. And my laptop is not tiny by any means. It's a very big
no, my
laptop.
laptop's a decent size. Mine's not like a 13-inch, like super thin. Like there's a graphics card in here. Like it's reasonably thick.
Yeah.
Uh,
So when people are traveling, and if you are just going to do the 2 weeks, and like that, I mean, I travel for a couple months at a time. Having protecting the laptop and, like you said, and the passport is like the most important thing in when traveling, because if you don't have your passport, you basically are going to run into legal issues. I mean, I don't have any legal, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't have any legal advice to give. But the travel one of the unwritten rules, or the rules that you should always consider, especially in a different country, is you got to have your passport. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
So yeah, if anybody's worrying about, I actually keep, generally speaking, I keep 3 copies. I keep the actual passport. I keep the digital photo I can saved in my email so that I can access it on my laptop or on my phone. And I keep one photocopy printer that's just tucked and stashed away.
Yeah, and that's and that's one of that's just like a common thing I think that travelers should do, especially for long periods of time. And I've had like discussions with Sophia when we're traveling, you know, where I always bring my passport with me. She's like, why do you bring your passport? It's like there is no way I am leaving the house or going anywhere without my passport. Like I'm not leaving it in the Airbnb. I'm not leaving it in the house. That's coming with me at all times. There's no,
Zero shot.
yeah. It's just it's if there's anything that's very important to have besides the laptop, it's definitely the passport. And then the laptop, because you're working remotely, you don't got your laptop. Well, it's like it's a no go.
I can't I can't sit here and explain to them I can't get on because I lost my laptop or broke it. Like that's just not an option. And
Yeah,
replacing that, like it's just not an option. I will scrounge for some food, send an email with my laptop, be like, listen, I need you to money order me some money to this location. I can figure something out to get a little funds to do something. But without my passport out, without my laptop, I will be put in a situation that will be very difficult to recover from.
yeah, and actually, to add to that, one of the things that I did run into while I was on the road. Um, so on from my previous trip in Ecuador, and kind of like halfway through my 2-month trip, my screen actually ended up uh, dying in the process, like slowly, like and one of the things that looked like was going on. First, I thought it was a driver issue in the graphics card, but afterwards, ended up being something wrong with the screen itself. So it would take a long time to boot. It looked like it wasn't getting as much electricity being drawn into the screen. So
Yeah.
when I got back to the U.S., I actually had to replace the screen, and I did it myself. It's actually pretty easy. But I think that's another thing too, that having a little, like a few repair skills might be worthwhile. But one of the good things, I think, if you start going to a place like Ecuador, Peru, any of those places, there's always a lot of small shops that can repair computers in a pretty timely manner for a reasonable price. I've never used any of those because I do like fixing things, but those types of things could happen. But it's one of those, going back to when we're traveling, you know, and you want to separate what we do in the bed, what we do in the living room, what we do in the bathroom. I always Typically, I never really move my laptop from places. It's typically in one spot all the time, unless I take it to a meeting or anything like that. It's not something. I almost treat it like a normal desktop, and only use it as a laptop to travel, because I'm not really traveling as heavily. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
moving around. And if I do, it's on the weekends, and on the weekends, um, if there's things I can do on my phone, I'll just do it on my phone. But I am trying to investigate ways or options to be able to do things, you know, to a much smaller scale without the horsepower that I need from the laptop. So I've been kind of looking into that type of stuff, which I got more things to talk about in regards to. Remember I was telling you about the Wi-Fi setup, because I use voice over IP.
Yeah.
Well, the audience can't see this, but I actually picked it up, and I'm actually running the meeting from this guy over here. It's called a Skyroom, and it's right now. I actually just signed up for the $50 a month, which is 20 gigs at maximum speed. So after
Is
that,
that that's the Google Voice, right?
no, this is Skyroam is the brand, and I total
But
with
what's the
the
service provider?
what it does, it attaches to existing cell network with 4G. Um, and basically, it's just a hotspot Wi-Fi hub. But I'll tell you what, it's actually pretty fast, and it was kind of a pain in the ass to set up. Um, might have taken maybe like 20, 30 minutes, and I think a lot of it had to connect to their servers. Uh, but one of the things it uses a virtual SIM card to attach to. So it could be a T-Mobile antenna, it could be Verizon, or whatever cell towers that are available attaches to that. And currently, right now, this company um, works works in 130 different countries, Ecuador being one of them. And the reason why I picked this over a regular cell phone network. So the last time I was in the U.S., one of the things I did was I picked up a pay-as-you-go plan because I needed essentially internet, and I never really used the phone to reprogram my SIM card. So I was looking for options that would be the best available, so that I could still make phone calls and
Well, you have
whatnot.
the Google Fi, which basically bounces off of a couple different, and then you have the international one. That's the one that I was looking at to try and switch over to potentially.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, I already use Google Voice, so all I really need is just because my cell phone number is my cell phone number over voice over IP. Um, so to me, like for me, Google Fi, like I don't need it for what I'm doing. Um, but as far as doing all the other services, I've been running my laptop, my phone, just through this network, and surprisingly, it's pretty fast. Um,
And what's the plan that you got?
It's the unlimited 20 gigs, so it's unlimited amount, and then what they do is they slow it down after 20 gigs. So after 2 days, and I've been monitoring, what the general usage is, and typically I've been using about 1 gig a day, and that's assuming that I'm running, YouTube, because I run YouTube in the background like a radio. I'm listening to it, but I recently just changed the setting on the videos so that they're as low quality as possible, so
Yep.
the bandwidth would be a lot slower, or excuse me, a lot smaller, instead of piping through the HD. And so far, I mean, so far it's great. It's like I was actually surprised how fast it is. The So like when you get out to Ecuador, when everyone gets out to Ecuador, if people need internet, um, I have I'll have this hub on me. I'll pick up the because it's only 2 weeks. I'm going to pick up the global plan. But once I get back to the house in Ecuador, I won't need to use it. So it's not a month to month plan, and there's no contract. It's just I pay month to month, I re up, and then if I don't need to use it, I just cancel it, and then it ends when the term ends. So
Nice.
it works with the stuff that I'm doing. But one of the issues that I run into sometimes is if I'm at the airport and I need to get an Uber, and this happened to me before, was, oh, I need to contact an Uber to pick me up.
Which
Well,
is
I
fine
can't.
if you're inside the airport, but if you got to like go out somewhere else to get picked up,
Exactly,
you lose the Wi-Fi.
exactly. So
Yeah.
rather than run into that problem, which I have in the past, I knew that when I got back, the first thing I was going to purchase was one of these Wi-Fi hub spots. And Verizon did have one, but they have like a kind of like an annual plan or a 2-year plan, and that's not something that's very conducive with what I'm doing, since I already have Wi-Fi at the house in Ecuador. And then when I'm out here, like I said, it's just I'm using it, for my phone. I'm using it for my normal Wi-Fi. So now I'm testing it, and I'm gonna see what it's like after the 20 gigs are done and see how slow it is. So hopefully it's not so bad, but I can honestly say right now, it's phenomenal. It's relatively easy to use. It works as a charger. There is like a higher version, but I think it's kind of a little pointless because it has a camera, um, and it has voice recognition. But why would I need that? I already have my phone. Um, so so yeah. So
That's a
I'm
neat little thing. I'm still debating switching over to the Google Fi potentially, but I haven't yet. But no, that's a neat little thing, especially like I was saying I wanted to work on the Galapagos for a while, right?
Yeah.
The internet. So and there's the big thing. The talks are basically like the morning time, and then the evenings. The internet at the certain location isn't too bad, but that middle of the day stretch, when a lot of people get off for lunch, apparently some of the speeds plummet. So that would be an easy switch over to using the cell towers, pop that hotspot, use that during the middle core of the day when the speeds are terrible, and then just switch it on and off for the remainder of the day.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, while we're out there, I mean, I already have it, so it can handle up to 10 people. I don't know how well the bandwidth is going to be once there's 10 people on, but
True.
I can honestly say with two devices, it's very the difference in speed as far as kind of 40 megabits per second speed on uh, landline Wi-Fi. I can't tell the difference. If it is, it's very minuscule. Obviously, I got a couple of months of runtime in the U.S. It's going to operate a little bit differently because the infrastructure here is going to be, um, well established. I think it's going to be the same in Ecuador. That, believe it or not, I think the signal is actually going to be pretty strong. But I won't know until I get there because,
Yeah.
like I was saying before, I think one of the things that's great about Ecuador is their Wi-Fi or their internet is actually pretty fast. And part of the reason for that is because most of the infrastructure already has fiber optics. So, if someone was looking for really fast Wi-Fi, if they want to do gaming or anything like that, the possibilities to do that is actually pretty high in Ecuador. And the only thing I think sometimes is the service, in that I don't think it's the bandwidth itself is really it during the peak hours, especially at night, it does shut off. And I don't know if it's the router or if it's the service itself. I'm not really sure. Like every once in a while, it just wipes out for like 2 seconds and then it comes back on. But
Huh.
I've noticed even uh, uh, Comcast does that. Like, you'll be online, I'll be online, and then I'll use it, and all of a sudden it's just like the signal's gone. You're like, what the hell? So
Oh
um,
yeah, absolutely.
so again, so if I'm actually I in the process, um, I did do like an unboxing, but I think I'll talk about it more, and I think it might be good to show people what this is in the next couple of videos. But overall, so far, in the 2 days that I've had it, they give 5 gigs of Wi-Fi for free before even setting it up, so able to go online and things. And so when I bought the plan, and this will be the last thing I talk about, but when I bought the plan, it's $50 a month for unlimited. What it does, it's like a separate plan that gets just stored, and it's like just there. And I guess like after this plan ends, I can either use that plan that they gave me that was for free, or I can re-up the next unlimited plan for next month, which I'll be doing. But if people are concerned about using the airport Wi-Fi or anything like that, this might be a good solution to consider when traveling, and there's no commitment. You do have to buy the dongle, or you can rent it. I think that's one of the great options. But cost wise, it's I think it's more beneficial to just buy the hub outright. Get the warranty plan. I got a 2-year warranty plan that Allstate provides, and then from there, like I said, 50 bucks, $50 a month. It's not outlandish because I don't pay for a phone line. So like I said, I use voice over IP using voice. I've been extremely happy with that. By the way, I've used it for 3 years, and people think that uh, when they get a call from me, right, that I'm in the U.S. But in
Yeah.
actuality, I was in Peru. I was in Ecuador, and that's one of the great things about using those services. I don't know if Google Fi is like that, but I would presume that it's going to be pretty flexible. I mean, Google is they're everywhere. They own the pipe.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty flexible. They're partnered with all the major providers in all the countries and everything that they mentioned. So they bounce from just tower to tower there. In the US, they're partnered with T-Mobile and Sprint, I believe.
Okay.
So use their towers. It's the unlimited international plan is like unlimited data, voice, talk, text, per month, one person. And this also covers you just land in the country and you don't do anything. It just turns on, works. There's a few hundred countries. And I want to say their unlimited plan for one person was like $70 a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have unlimited data that works in all these different countries. You can go there, pop a hotspot, run everything off of your phone, tether it, pop a hotspot, and then just go. So that's phenomenal. But yeah, no, what we were talking about before laptops is I actually got to find a good tech bag because I noticed with I didn't really break out the GoPro this last time. Did a little testing, nothing major. The extra cases and extra little tech pieces that I want to start bringing with me, along with keeping that laptop secure and carrying that extra bag, I need to get a slightly better designed laptop bag that's going to basically let me put all of my tech in that one bag as my personal item, and then leave that one bag, one backpack for everything else, all the clothes, all the other stuff that needs to be stuffed in there, which the new one is phenomenal for and works really, really well. I do want to, if anybody does happen to get out to Austin, if you're heading out there, you've been intrigued by the fact that Texas is open, it's nice and warm, they have a ton going on, people are in great spirits, great food trucks, great restaurants. There's two places I want to give a shout out to. I was just Googling to make sure I got the names right. If you like ramen Tatsuya over on E6. It's Ramen Tatsuya over on E6. This was the best meal that we had the entire time we were there. The ramen was unbelievable. The little Yodas as an appetizer, they're actually just Brussels sprouts with like an apple cider vinegar reduction with a little curry on there. Oh my God. Some of the best Brussels sprouts I've ever had, just as one of the little appetizer.
Yeah.
On top of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say,
Oh, no,
Brussels sprouts are slamming, especially if they're done right.
On top of that, the one bowl of ramen that we ordered, well, we each got one, but the bowl of ramen I got, along with those little Brussels sprouts, the size of the bowl of ramen, without adding any extras, obviously you can add extras to it, extra noodles, extra this, as is, was enormous. Amazing. Best ramen I had, $13. Those amazing little Brussels sprout starters were $5. And then we got some little gyozas, little dumplings. Those were $5. So not on top of actually just being the best meal overall from like the taste and everything, it was phenomenal. It was actually probably the cheapest meal that we ate the entire time there. So you can hit up the food trucks and they're pretty reasonable and everything. And so there's some of the you can head to a fancier taco place like Suerte, which we went to. It's significantly pricier. They do a little like tapas style platas. Some of the food trucks, the best one was Cafe Verde, there's a bunch of them around. They have a standalone spot, but they also have like a food truck and everything. Those are real reasonable. You're getting like really good, but they're smaller tacos. You're getting really great tacos for like $3.50, $4. You get a couple of those, $12, $15, $16 or so. Get a bunch of tacos, not terrible.
Wait, what's the name?
But you start going out to any places to eat and everything, it's city prices.
Yeah.
This is Austin. It's a city. Stuff is at city prices. The other place I wanted to mention, if you're looking for a place to get coffee, amazing like pastries, amazing breakfast sandwiches, these quiches that we had, just great. And it's right on the river, a little bit outside of the downtown area, maybe like a 15-minute Uber or so. It's Mozart's Coffee Roasters. Great outside patio. You can sit there, relax, sip on some coffee, have some great pastries, really decent Wi-Fi. If you're close to the building, you start getting really far out on the patio, it dips a little bit. But those were by far my two favorite locations that I went to the entire time, as far as one for an amazing dinner and one for a really eclectic work spot, just sitting there looking out the water.
All right, so I actually posted that on the live chat of their website so that people could check it out if they're interested. That's no, that's really awesome. Um, that you're giving some people some insights about places where to go. Good call on that, especially since like this is I think it's I think people should try to go out there. Like I said, if you can't join us, if you guys can't join us in Ecuador or some other country, you know, I would say, make a trip for a week or so or something. I feel like that'd be a good little thing. Get out of the routine, and I think Cruz is providing some good information as far as how he's been experiencing things, but recognizing some of the things, some of the checks and balances, the I can't think of the words for this, but like some of the compromises that sometimes that you have to make when making certain choices, and maybe you don't have to think too hard, in the near term as far as looking for trips. I know we have a few friends that have gotten their shots for the sickness and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I think this might be a good opportunity. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hint, hint. Come out, have fun. I think this is a great opportunity to do that. To do that, consider all things considered, and on top of that, you know, because Cruz and I have dedicated this whole travel, living this whole traveling lifestyle. Um, you know, it's it's good that because even though I've gone through my routines, I still feel like I'm learning things that Cruz is experiencing, through his trips. Um, and it also reminds me of things that I have encountered, or like, oh crap, you know what? Thinking about the whole laptop situation. We didn't talk about it before, but you brought it up, and oh yeah, that is an important topic to talk about, especially since if people are traveling, maybe someone is going on vacation, but every now and then they do have to log into their laptop, check in on things. We don't know, but in that regards, understanding like, oh, if people are going to backpack and things like that, and they want to save a few bucks to not have checked bags, um, here's an exact experience that you ran into, and now you're evaluating a much better laptop bag to carry around. And I've and that's those are things that need to be. It's good to take care of those things kind of early on, especially for people that are worried about traveling. And obviously you don't want to damage a lot of the things. Um, and
Yeah. Having a separate, I'm definitely fully on board. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to be technically only one bag in it. Whatever. I will have a separate tech bag for the laptop, and to have that separate, secure. That's my personal item, and then I have my one carry on. It's a safety precaution. It's an efficiency precaution. It just works out better.
mm. So as far as what was the highlight? So you have these two food places. They have Brahma Tetsuya, and then you have Mozart Coffee. Was there any particular highlight that stood out to you in Austin that was like, oh, this is going out in the books as a really great experience?
It's a great experience. So I mean, you can have different style experiences. And there's not necessarily these amazing, in my book, amazing sights to be seen there. We've done a fair bit of traveling now. There's some places that just have some really epic things to see, right?
Yeah.
Not knocking Austin, but it's a different style trip. It's a different style vibe. There's still gorgeous things to see. It's not a great time to see them, but they do have, I've seen them before. and they have the Congress Street bats, and it's a couple million bats that come out every night during the summer and just fly down the river. It's a really cool experience. It's a great thing to see. You got to go once it starts getting a little bit warmer and the mosquitoes and bugs are actually out and the bats are really coming out. They're just starting to now. I actually did hear that the ice storm and everything actually might have affected them. They might have been that freeze might have killed some of them, but there's a lot of them. They still survived. They will definitely be back. I will say the coolest experience that we had was probably, so we had been there, staying there a while, and I can't say enough about the hospitality that we received at the Austin Marriott downtown. I really can't. I've actually been waiting to actually go on their site, log in as a member, and write a phenomenal review about them. Because the hospitality that we received, from the front desk to the people at the downstairs restaurant to the people upstairs at the Zanzibar, the pool area, to the managers, it was absolutely top notch. I saw them day after day, a bunch of times a day, and they were friendly and amazing every time. We've been there talking to them one day. So what happened is they do have a gorgeous, gorgeous rooftop pool. It's up on the 7th floor with a beautiful Zanzibar restaurant there, overlooking out onto the city. Great seats, great cabanas. You can go and enjoy the pool, stay there if you're staying there. The cabanas are a little different. You have to get those. One of the managers, we were leaving in the morning. It was one of the last Saturday that we were actually there. Just talking to him, shooting. He knew we're from Boston, joking around. And just out of nowhere, he's like, you know what? I have a couple cabanas left for later tonight, for basically at like noon till the remainder of the night till they close. He's like, do you guys want one of the cabanas? Absolutely. He said, yeah, absolutely. He says, all right, give me a number. I'll text you. We left. We went out for brunch. He set us up. Complimentary. Here's a cabana at the pool. Another manager saw us up there that we've been speaking to. He'd seen us up at the Zanzibar a bunch of times. He sent over, a complimentary bucket of beers to start with. Just absolutely top notch. Yeah, absolutely top notch. Completely took care of us. Really, really couldn't say enough. We're up there. The pool that it was a gorgeous Saturday. We're talking is low 80s, nothing but sun. Cabana, the entire place was full. Almost just cleared my water out. Completely full, and that was just because we had been there. We've been staying there a while. Just really friendly to them, and they were amazing to us. And yeah, it's not even about getting things for free. It was just the hospitality aspect of it. Of really treating people right. So if you do go down and you're looking for a place to stay, that hotel is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And the people that are actually operating there on a day-to-day basis are amazing people. So definitely Austin Marriott downtown, go give them your business. They will absolutely treat you right. And I'd love to see that particular hotel really continue being successful.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I think that's one of the great things, right? If someone travels, if someone's thinking about going to Austin, right? They don't always have to stay at an Airbnb. They can hop at different locations, different places, stay for a few days at an Airbnb in one spot, stay for a few days at a Marriott, stay for a few days at another hotel. And, there's people that work at these places, right? So it's like,
there's people that are working at the places. That hotel just opened. It hasn't necessarily been as busy as it has been.
Yeah.
They're not having to employ as many people as they may have to have in the past.
Yeah. And no, it's funny that you say that. So on Saturday, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I watched the Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic UFC fight on Saturday because I was waiting for my flight, and it was at the bar at the airport, right in the middle of the night, and the bartender is like, "Are you gonna order something?" I'm like, "Oh, right now, no, I'm just watching the UFC fight." But towards the end of the UFC fight, where Nagano won amazingly, it was an amazing fight. Guy's like, "I'm sorry, you can't stay here. Like this is the bar area." And somehow when he said that, like I just had a lot of respect for it because I knew how long the airports were closed when the pandemic happened. So I'm like, I checked the time. I still had a little bit of time to order a vodka. Ordered a
Sure.
vodka, gave him a tip, and I was like, you know, and I respected that he was very firm about it. But it was one of those things where, everyone's got to make a living, right? And that's one of the things where, whether it's a big company or a small company, there's people there, there, and the guy was nice, nice enough to let me watch the whole fight, and I could have just walked away, but it's important to, like I said, like everyone's trying to make an effort to do, to do well, and that program that was on TV, it was on ESPN2, and I'm sure that uh that restaurant owner, paid for using that ESPN2. So it's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
absolutely I'm gonna have a drink, I was in the last half hour or yeah, around half hour before I had to board the flight. And it's like, um, so yeah, just go out there and every once in a while, you know, say what's up to these people and yeah, no, it's really great to be able to get the chance to go out. And my personal opinion is I think people shouldn't be afraid about you know going out. If they do, just take necessary precautions to be safe. And that's
Not
basically it.
saying anybody. Yeah, we just my opinion. And I know yours. We're not. If you want to take precautions, absolutely take precautions. But if you're okay with things and you're willing to make your own whatever decision you want to make, you make your decision for yourself of what you want to do, and let everybody else make their decisions for themselves about what they're willing and what they want to do.
Yeah, and I think like some of the intentions or some of the mission I feel like for doing these videos, because we're traveling, staying at places for an extended period of time. We're providing our view on what we're experiencing at these places. And in my perspective, it's a it's safe. It's safe if you're just taking the necessary precautions. You're bringing wet towels, or the alcohol pads or anything like that, or alcohol to wash your hands. Just practice. For me, it's just practice sanitation when going out to eat. Covering your mouth if you sneeze or whatever, if you happen to be eating. Those types of things. Um, because like I said, the world keeps turning, right? And it's just, um, despite what's going on in the world, people still need to continue their lives and things like that, and we need to be able to support each other, whatever way we can. Um, and you know, going on vacation and things like that, I think is a huge boon for a lot of people in general. I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, I had just been out not that long ago, and then just after this winter and the regiment and everything, and the down, I needed this get out for a little while. I needed those, kind of this just quick getaway, blow off some steam stretch, which uh, which is what I did. And now the next one is probably, of course, we talked. The next one's going to be a much longer term routine. Really, again, to stay someplace, get immersed, which is also it's a slightly different adventure, and I can't wait for that one again.
yeah, and like I said, so one of the things that Sophia and I are working on is finalizing some of the scheduling for the trip. So in the next few weeks, uh, in my view, I think we're going to get a lot of that. I'm going to feel like we're going to get a lot of that squared away, because I know there's several people that are waiting, to to confirm, about what's going to happen when heading out to Ecuador. So I think it's going to be a fun time. I mean, we have other plans kind of before that, but you know, I think as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the main things, because I am going to consider taking 2 weeks. Like I might bring something with me so that I can get stuff done, but I'm
Yeah,
essentially going to be looking to take 2 weeks off. Because my mother's going to be there, possibly her husband, and you, Pat, possibly your sister, Sophia, myself. So there's going to be, it's going to be a pretty large crew, and I want to make sure that I can kind of lock in a lot of the plans beforehand. so that we don't have to deal with kind of the minutia. Because I'm sure once we arrive at some of these places and we have that open opportunity to do whatever, I'm sure like we'll readjust certain things when we get there. But it's good to kind of just lay out something to know where we're at.
It's different when you have a bunch of other people with you, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like my mother and her husband, they're gonna be
You're on a more set schedule. It's just different. You
yeah,
need to kind of have a little way to move things along.
yeah. And there's like a key thing Sophia and I were talking about. I'll end this with this. It's like oh, doing some touristy stuff in Quito, and there's a monument of the Virgin Mary. But
Yeah,
to get up there, either you drive or you take the stairs. And taking the
yeah.
stairs is like going climbing and hiking in a mountain because, well, you're going up, a
Oh,
pretty
those
high.
I saw pictures of those stairs. That's at that altitude. That altitude, and you just got into Quito.
No, you're not doing that the
That's
first day. You're not doing that the first
that's not a fun climb.
day.
That's not. If you hadn't been there for at least a few days, I don't know if I would. Well, you better take it slow if you're
It,
heading
it,
up that thing.
it wouldn't be the first thing I would do. I would honestly save that kind of stuff for like the very end of the trip
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
because you know you go up 10 flights of stairs, you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna pass out. You know, you know, and anyone who's ever been at that elevation and have actually climbed upstairs, 9,000 feet and go up 15 stairs, you know what it feels. I mean, Cruz, like
Oh
a
yeah,
a slight elevation and climbing up and just walking is hard.
yeah.
Whatever shape somebody's in, coming from sea
There's
level.
something about it though. After a few weeks of being up there, you just start getting like, I don't know. It changes you a little bit. You
It's
start.
it's like natural steroids. You know what I mean? Like you somehow become more superhuman from just being in higher
It
elevation.
changes you a little bit. It really does.
Yeah. So with that being said, in the next few weeks we're going to be Cruz and I are going to be out in New England. Um, we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna be chilling out a little bit, but keep up with us as we get to as we start preparing for our next trips, and that'll come soon enough. Before you know, I mean, we're already coming into April, so
We are.
yeah, time's moving fast. But you have any?
We still prepping. We still prepping for Puerto Rico. You
I'm
still want to do
I'm
it quick?
I've already told people about Puerto Rico. People asked me about what my
Oh,
plan was. I was like,
perfect.
well, I'm planning to
All
go to
right.
Puerto Rico. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going.
um,
Absolutely.
but I do need to get a lot of stuff done beforehand. So, but that's
Yeah, I got a good solid 4 weeks of stuff that I'm probably going to be cranking away on at least. So
yeah. So, you have any closing comments?
it's great to be back. Honestly, I had an awesome trip. I was done with Austin, did it. It was amazing. I hope somebody else, you get a chance to go out there, go enjoy yourselves. I always hype it up to everybody. I've hyped it up to everybody for years. Definitely head out there. Can't wait for these next couple weeks. Going to just get locked back in routine, square up, and really prep. Because after this, we're going to be going for a while. So
Mm,
these next like 4 or 5 weeks are going to be real important because you can't walk away without actually putting in the work and getting getting everything in order. As much as the traveling seems amazing, you can't just do it. You still gotta put in your time and get certain things in line. So
So, thank you guys all for joining us. The list is in the chat of the restaurants, and I did add a link to Google Fi. Though these aren't sponsored links or anything like that. This is just, I think good information for you guys to look over if you guys are interested. Like I said, right now I'm using Skyroam. Google Fi, definitely has a really good benefits there as far as being able to travel, get your phone number and things like that, data plan. So that's out there.